Hello, Rabbi Kaplan, Lila Tov.
Lila Tov.
Maybe you have a few words for us? What's happening in the world?
I wanted to share something with everybody. It says in the Sefer Trumas Akri and Akadoma, the brother of the Kados, brings Rishem, one of the Kadmonim. I think it's the Ram Almoshino. He brings it. I think he says it on a pasuk in Kollel, that he says even if a person would go up to heaven and he would see the most awesome things up there, his pleasure would not be full until he comes down and says it over to somebody, tells it over to somebody. I was lying in bed 2 nights ago reading a book. The name of the book is whatever from I've Been Here Before, Sara, Yocheved, Rigler. And mostly the book is about Gilgulim, reincarnation. But in the last chapter, she talks about her own life.
Rabbi Kaplan.
Yeah.
Just one word, reincarnation from the Holocaust period, I think, is the main thing.
Oh, yeah, it's not in general reincarnation. It's reincarnation from the Holocaust period. So she tells her own story. Sure, her parents were Holocaust survivors, I think, weren't
No.
No.
Her parents are good middle-class Americans, probably 100 years in America, 120 years in America.
Oh.
No, that's one of the surprising things, that she's not, and her parents are not.
Maybe I'm mixing up. Anyway, so she says, so she tells her story. She tells about how she was 15 years, I think it was, in the ashram, and lived what they call spiritual life. The truth, there is something to it. I mean, you can't just say stuyot. They do try to live a spiritual life. They don't have Torah. But I wonder, they probably are nice to one another. And they don't, they eat in a certain way. I think now they're careful what they eat, and they don't stuff themselves. Don't become fat like some people do, like I do. But I mean, in the end, you see it's without Torah. But what do I have to talk about that? That's not our problem. Anyway, she was there for many years. She became the treasurer of the ashram. It does sound like this guru, which was a woman over there. He didn't have to, like the Yerushalmi say, didn't have to worry about how to make Shabbos, and didn't have to worry about other problems in life, and she flew back and forth to her different ashrams. Anyway, this woman, I'm not going into the whole story. She had a sorrows. She became religious. And now the question was, should she get married? Because she still had in her the ideas that were left from that world. In that world, there's such a thing as spiritual work, spiritual growth. In our world, there's also all these things, spiritual growth and spiritual work. And that's what she was doing, and growing spiritually. And she felt, and over there, the scuffle was that if you have children, that'll bother, it'll stop your spiritual growth. And Lashon is taking care of babies can be an obstacle to spiritual attainment. But now she was from Yiddish to get married and have children. What's she gonna do? She's in a conflict. And so she went to two spiritual leaders, two great people, two tzaddikim, two holy Jews. The first one was Rav Yitzchak Ginzburgh, which is Bahamas. He's a holy Jew. I remember him still from Kamenitz when he started his career, when he came from America. He learned in Kamenitz for a while. So she went to him. So he said to her like this, that there are 10 spheres. The highest one is called Keser. Keser means crown. Highest place that there is, and I'm adding that in other places it's called Rotzon. Chassidus called Rotzon. There's also such a thing as Rava the Ravin, the Rotzon of Ritzonus. The union of Shalashudis, the time of Rava the Ravin. That's right. Like before Sunday, before the first day that the world was created, in the time of Shalashudis, Hashem was sitting and wanting to have a rotzen to create the world. Very deep things, which is called Kabshi Derachmonu, the secrets of Hashem. Rabbi Yitzchak Ginzburgh said there, you could reach high spiritual levels, but the Keser you can't reach. Can't reach Keser. You can't reach that level. Here, he says like this, and this is in this book, page 287. It says there's Lashon is like this. There's no way for human beings in this world to access Keser. Not through the intellect, and not even through meditation. You can't access this. So he says, but, he says, by bringing down a soul to the world, can access Kesed. And he explained the whole arichas on the can access Kesed. To me, it sounds very inspiring, very high. And if I would have been in that situation and I would hear those words, I would say, okay, I'm getting married. I'm going to bring down souls to the world. We're not talking about people that are looking to complain and to argue and to be against and to be negative. We're talking about normal people. Yeah, okay, so it's the only way to access. Yeah, but I would say, but my feeling is if I would right away listen, but I still feel that I'm missing something. I still feel that I'm missing something. That means what? You access Keser, but you jumped over all the stages before that. You and yourself. Let's say like this. You can't access Keser, but so even when you do bring the souls down to this world, but you're not gonna feel that you got high. You're not gonna feel you became purified. You're not gonna feel holy. If you're gonna work on meditation and spirituality, you will feel holy. So what? I'm gonna reach Keser. I'm gonna have holiness, but I'm not gonna feel it. Truth. That's what you could think, but the truth is that I'm not gonna feel. So that's again, it's me. I'm not gonna. I want to feel holy. I want to feel spiritual, and I'm not gonna feel that. So it's it's me. So then I'm a Matthias, but over Keser there's no Matthias. There's There's nothing. There's only. I guess it's a contradiction. Anyway, it's a deep lying in bed and reading this, I felt, I have to tell somebody. I have to call somebody up and tell them about it. My inspiration that I got from this is not full. And I thought maybe to call up one of the Rockever brothers, which these are two brothers which are very, very good friends of mine. I hardly ever see them. Hardly ever talk to them. I never knew. Only recent years I got to know them, and they're amshinover Hasidim. They are very holy boys, and I became friends with them. They used to come into the kollel by us in beit vagan, so that's how I got to know them. And this is a story. This is what's coming is about what the amshinover rebbe, the experience he had with the amshinover rebbe. I felt I should call up one of them. It was 12 o'clock at night. He said, "No, I'm in bed. It's not the time to call them." And especially maybe they know this already. But I don't know if they would have. I don't know, even if they know this, if they would jump as much as I did from hearing this story. So the story is like this, that she went into the amshinover rebbe. He came into a room, he said, and she describes it. And she said to him, said to the rebbe, wouldn't taking, I'm reading from the book, wouldn't taking care of babies be an obstacle to my spiritual attainment? And before she finished the question, there was a baby lying there. The amshinover rebbe has a very small apartment. And this must be 30 years ago, this story maybe. And he had children, little children, a lot of children, and he lived in a small apartment, and he was makabel kol. People came to him in his living room, and sometimes there were babies there in the room, in a playpen, and there was a baby there, the playpen, lying there sleeping, and the baby all of a sudden woke. Right after she asked the question, wouldn't taking care of babies be an obstacle to my spiritual attainment? The Rebbe said, "Excuse me," and the baby started crying, so they went and he picked up the baby, held the baby in his lap. And he says, "Yo, again, what was your question?" The Rebbe said. So she says, "My question froze in my mouth," she says. God himself had answered me. She says, she sees the Rebbe, the holy Rebbe, and he's up with Hashem, Yomim V'Layla. A benching could take 3 hours for him. It could take a few hours. I myself saw with my own eyes years and years ago in the beginning of his being a Rebbe, I saw they Torah, they took out the Sefer Torah. So he was saying Brich Shmei an hour. I saw it. Brich Shmei, and they took out the Sefer Torah, took an hour. And he's concentrating, and he's not shaking himself, and he's not making any wild tenuous motions with his hands, not waving his hands. Just standing there, concentrating. That's what he's doing. You want to know what is the amshinover Rebbe? You could just say it in one word: concentration. And he's standing there saying Brich Shmei a whole hour. So, and this holy Rebbe, he is busy taking care of a little child, holding a little child in his lap. And that's the answer. That's the answer. What are you talking about? My spiritual attainment. She got the answer. She must be a very deep woman, this author of this book. So she got the answer. She saw the Rebbe holding the baby, taking care of the baby. That's it. What are you talking about spiritual? Is there anybody holier than the amshinover Rebbe? I am not a chassid of the amshinover rebbe. I have nothing to do with them. But I believe that he's one of the holiest Jews, you could say, in this generation. He's really working hard, his avodas Hashem. And he said, and what's he busy doing? Picking up a baby that's crying and taking care of the baby. So what do you say? So that I mean, it reminds me of the muscle that they say. Somebody is grappling in the dark, looking for something. Looking, and he's close, and maybe he almost found it. But as soon as you turn on a little light in some corner, all the problems fall off. Where is it? Right away he sees where it is. Sometimes there are minutes in a person's life when you see the truth. You don't have to be explained the truth. You don't have to think deep to get the truth. You just see it. It's there. That's what happened over here to this woman. She saw that the Rebbe's taking care of her baby. So what are you talking about? Spiritual attainment. I find it hard to explain or to put into words what my excitement of this story is. What makes me so excited, what gets me, and I would have to maybe put more time into explaining what I'm feeling about this. But when I saw this story lying in bed a few nights ago, I wanted to jump up and call up somebody and say it over to them. Maybe it's better. They say the Alter from Kelm said when you have an inspiration, better keep it inside for a while. Don't right away shoot it out, because it'll fade away faster. Better when you keep it inside of you, it holds more. Tonight I was thinking about it more, and I thought that maybe the union is that and it's not our job to explain what was wrong with the ashram and what's wrong with that way of life. That's not our problem. It's not up to us to. Well, we don't have to discuss that unless it's unless it has to do with our own lives. But what does have to do with our own lives, I was thinking, that in this story you see the value of volumizing. There are one of my rebbes. I don't know if it's right to say my rebbes, but one of the swarm that has inspired me over the years. So I feel guilty when I say my rebbes. If the Sefer inspires you so much, why don't you learn it more? Why don't you think about it more? But let's anyway say the word. One of my rebbes is Rabbi the Mir Mashgiach. I used to, in my younger age, at the age of 17, I first found the Sefer Das Chochmah Mutzah, the Sichos of the Mir Mashgiach. The second volume I was very inspired from. I met other people later, and they also told me they were very inspired from the second volume, even though there are 3 volumes. And then somebody told me that the reason why people say that they're more inspired from the second volume is because that was written by Rabbi. Anyway, so he talks there a lot about the value of volumizing. It means we're living in a world which is Hester Ponim, the Tanya, and I don't remember, it might be Perek Mem Aleph, or in that area, that he choshech, kafel, and mechupel. These are a few lashonos of the darkness of this world. Truth is, that on one hand, this world is darkness. On the other hand, this world is a world full of light. Every step and step there's light. Every step that we go, there are opportunities. There's once a story, I was living in caplan 27, so there was an elevator in the building, and there's a doctor's office in the entrance of the building, and because of the doctor's office, people use the elevator. People coming into the building use the elevator. One of the neighbors that lived high up, so he was complaining to me that people come into the building and use the elevator. He has to wait longer for the elevator. He said, the Mishnah brings in the verson Siman Aleph that there's 6 mitzvahs medios. To believe in Hashem, to believe in his achdus, to have Avavayir. So in that extra minute that it'll take you to wait for the elevator, you could think one of the 6 mitzvahs videos, and you'll be mekayim a mitzvah by thinking that you believe in Hashem. So you mekayim a mitzvah. You can do that mitzvah while you're waiting the extra minute. You have what to do with the extra minute. He looked at me like I fell from Pluto, maybe, or Neptune. I don't know. But it means, what I mean to say is that there are opportunities in this world. You're standing there waiting for an elevator, doing nothing but complaining. But in that minute, it's an opportunity to use your mind and think thoughts, which the thoughts alone are mitzvahs. And if it's mitzvahs, it means it's olam haba, it's Gan Eden in this world. What are you complaining about? I'm saying like this. This is what happened in this story. This is what happened over here. You're talking about spiritual attainment. Taking care of a baby is the great. In that action of taking care of the baby, that's the greatest spiritual attainment that there can be. That's the greatest opportunity there is to connect the holiness, the highest. Only what? You don't feel it, right? You don't feel it. I was by my grandchildren, like I do every Thursday night. And sitting there with the 2 big boys. There are 3 boys. One is 13, was 14. One is 11, and the little one is 5.5, almost 6. I'm sitting there in the room, talking to the bedroom, talking to the 2 big ones, serious conversation, serious talk, and the little one is jumping around. I call him the little genius, which I think he is. He's very smart, but he's at the age of 5.5. You can't expect more. He's jumping around, making noises, trying to get attention. So I'm saying that what I want to bring out from this, I'm saying, so so I was trying to make a deep conversation, and he's bothering. That's raising children. You don't feel high. You don't feel holy. But that's holiness itself. So you won't feel. The answer is you want to feel it. You want to feel, I'm holy, I'm spiritual, I'm big, I'm high. Again, it's a contradiction to the whole concept of holiness and spirituality. Again, it's me. So what's the difference if you want to attain money, you want to attain pleasures, or you want to attain holiness? What's the difference? And I think that's what she saw by the Rebbe. The Rebbe is so holy, so high, so spiritual, so pure. becomes clear for a second. You don't have to ask anymore. There was Rabbi Yaakov Weinberg was a Talmud of Slobodka, a big genius he was. He writes that there was one year that Rabbi Yitzchak, he was a tzaddik, a mamish a tzaddik. I read a book about him once, Talmud of Rabbi Salanter. So, in his later years or middle years, in his later years he lived in Yerushalayim, but before that he lived in Slobodka. He came to the yeshiva daven on Yom Kippur, and they asked him to speak after Kol Nidre. So he got up and he said, there was once a time that the Tsar said that he's going to pardon all those that deserted the army and ran away. They should have been meguyas to the army, and they didn't. And he's going to pardon them, but they have to come and serve for a certain amount, and with serving that amount, they'll make up for what they deserted the army. If somebody came, and he was older, and he said, here I am, I deserted the army. I'm willing to serve now for the amount that they're asking. So they said to him, who needs an old person like you? Who needs him? And Rabbi so fainted. On the spot he fainted. He meant to say, he said, an old man like me, what can I say? What can I contribute to the army of Hashem? But of course, Barovan Vasanuso, he said that he contributed plenty. I might soon say something, what I read about him. But he fainted. Rabbi Yaakov Weinberg. And then he got up, they woke him up, and he said, Bachrim, you're still young. Use up your time. You can still contribute to the army of Hashem. And that was it. And Rabbi Yaakov, he was a genius, and he was also a cynic. And he said, there are minutes in a person's life that the light turns on. He doesn't need any more proofs, and he doesn't need explanations. He sees the truth with his eyes. And that's all you need. You don't need more than that. And that's what happened in those minutes when Rabbi Yitzchak stood up there and he spoke in front of the people. That's what. But interesting is, as this woman went in a regular weekday in the middle of the week, and I'm the Rebbe still had babies and in diapers maybe, and he's busy taking care of her baby. And Dafka there, she got the highest spiritual awakening, the highest shine that you could get in a person's life. Dafka in that situation. And that changed her life, and she got married, and she had children, and boys, I wonder what's with them. So you see that the inspiration, it doesn't, you don't always know when it's going to come. It could come all of a sudden in the middle of a weekday. He said the Chazani, Rav Shlomo Lawrence, he went to the Chazani, he wanted to open up a yeshiva that should be for regular people, for simple people, that they're going to grow up to be balabatim, working people, businessmen. And they'll be kaveh itim latar. And they'll be fruma balabatim yirei shumayim. For such a level, he wants to open up a yeshiva. And he said, you never know who's gonna be successful in the Torah world. You think there's some people are simple minds. It could happen that they're walking in the street and turning the corner, and just by the corner, all of a sudden, the shefa comes down in Hashemayim, and they become, and their mind opens up, and they become gaonim in learning. The truth is, you don't have to say dafka in learning. You can also say in tzidkes, in Yerushalayim, in all the milas that there are. But it could come suddenly when he's turning the corner. This is what I'm saying over here. Look what happened to this woman. Just in a regular weekday while the rebbe is taking care of babies. It's just a good thing she didn't go to some other rebbe. So she, and then she got the inspiration, and she was matzliach, go on the right derech and get married and have children. We don't know the value of volumizing, of the simple volumizing, the simple everyday life. A regular shachris, you get up and you daven. Who knows what you're doing with this? Who knows where you're penetrating, where you're reaching in this simple day davening? All kinds of maisim. You control yourself from not getting in gas in a certain situation. Who knows what you could be doing? That's where all the holiness lies. I always say there's two minhagim of what you do after what you say after Kabbalah Shabbos. One minhag is that you say Kigavna, and Kigavna talks about the neshama yesera that we get on Shabbos. The matzav that we're in the Mali Shabbat, in the entrance of the Shabbos. Chod lekover chod. Above, everything is one. Everything is Hashem Echad Ushmo Echad. And down here, we're also having the matzav of Chod lekover chod. One facing the other one. Achdus Raza Dechad. Only one. B'chol zine, let's say, b'chol sitra achem, kulo aven v'sabren mina. All the ra goes away, runs away. That's one nusach. In nusach Ashkenaz we say, b'meh madlikin. More ein madlikin. What are we talking? Where does the holiness of Shabbos lie? Of course it's in the neshama yesera. Of course it's in the rosa dechad. How do we reach all that? From ein madlikin be'itron mipnei kavod HaShabbos. Tzilus HaBeged Shekip Lov Lo Yivava, from this simple, down-to-earth, gashmis dike objects that we're talking about. Can you light with itron because it has a rechra, and Kavod HaShabbos says no, you can't light with it. That's where the whole Kedushas Shabbos lies, in that. We have to know this. We have to always remember this in our everyday life. We could talk a lot more, and the minmal will stop over here. We have to remember this. Our everyday actions. There are many days I feel in the morning, I'm tired, I might as well just stay and rest more and daven at home and leave everything. And you think, who knows what this day like, what this davening of this is. And if I will daven, what kind of davening is it going to be already? I have to daven for the Omer every day because I'm over. And you have to daven fast. People are standing and rushing you. So what's it worth all things? Stay at home and sleep a little more. No, you don't know what this situation of Olam Hazeh could bring us. Hashem should have that we should always be mekabel from the Tzaddikei Hador. And we should be able to zoche to use the minutes of inspiration that Hashem sends us. And with that, we'll be zoche to reach shleimus the way we're supposed to.
Wow. Amen v'amen, Rabbi Kaplan. Thank you very much.
Now, let me try